Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Josh's Tech Bites. I'm really excited about this episode today. We're going to be taking a look at the Hyte Y60 cases. This is the white one. Say that 5 times fast. Hyte white Y60 case. But anyway, I have been waiting on these to arrive for a while now. I ordered them a month or so ago, and I got a notification that they had shipped early. So I was expecting them towards the end of June, and they are here early. So I'm really excited to open them up and take a look at it. I was really excited about this case when they first released it because it's kind of unique. Reminds me a little bit of the Lee & Lee 011 Dynamic, but it has the angled front on the front of the case, and it's been designated as the fish tank case. They have even built a fish tank in this case. It's pretty cool. So check that out on Hyte's page, and then let's go ahead and open it up and take a look at it. So one thing that I noticed about this case right off the bat when I took it out of the box is it's really light, especially for a case that has 3 tempered pieces of glass. It has metal panels on the top, the sides, the back. It's a really light case, especially compared to the Lee & Lee 011 Dynamic and the Dynamic XL. The Dynamic XL is very heavy, but this case is very light, and I do like that because it's going to be easy to move around and kind of get all your components in there, and especially if you're doing water cooling, trying to get all the air out of your system. So I do really like that. So let's go ahead and open it up. And the case itself, it doesn't have any screws to take the top panel off. It just has a lip right here, and you're just gonna give it some force. It's got clips, and it pulls right off. And then the top is metal, but the insert behind it is plastic. It looks really nice. I like the design that they've come up with. It seems like it's going to provide good airflow. So they do have a couple of screws to take off the side panel here and the tempered glass piece here. I'm not sure how these come out yet, but we're going to figure that out. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those screws, and we'll pull off those panels. So once you remove those screws, this panel should just pop out. And there's one. And set that aside, and then the back panel should just pop out as well. And it's got a little kind of lip on the side that you can use to pull the panel out. So that's how those 2 panels come off. And then the front panel, I believe, has some screws on the side that you have to remove. Yes, there are 3 screws here to remove the front piece of glass. So this is a little more intense to remove panels and the pieces than the Lee & Lee cases. The Lee & Lee cases have a couple screws in the back. The top slides off, and then you just pull the panels up. The new Lee & Lee, the 11 Dynamic XL, I know has 2 thumb screws in the back and a clip. So really, you don't need any tools to remove the side panels, which I like. This just seems a little excessive to have this many screws to remove these pieces, but I mean, it's not going anywhere for sure. And you remove the piece, and the glass panel just pops out. It looks like it does have a clip here to hold it in place, and then of course the screws on the side. So the front panel is removed. The glass panel here as well. I'm going to take a look. Okay, it looks like it has 2 screws here. I'm not going to remove that. I really don't need to. I don't see a reason that I would need to remove it anyway. So I'm just going to leave it in there. And then one thing about the inside of the case is this is a vertical mount only for your graphics card. I don't necessarily like that. I think it should be an option. But I don't think it should come with vertical mount only. The vertical mount only is going to cut off your other ports to half height only. So you cannot put a full height card in this system. It's going to be a vertical mount graphics card and then half height cards only. I would like to see them make that optional, like Lee & Lee has done with their cases. And I know I keep referring to Lee & Lee, but I love their cases. I think it's a great design. And I think it's probably one of the almost perfect cases that's out there right now. but they've made it optional where you can do a vertical mount, but it doesn't come with that. It's an extra that you can buy and do the vertical mount. This kind of limits you into what you can do, especially having the vertical mount on the side with the glass panel right up next to it. It's going to choke your fans off in your graphics card, so airflow is probably going to be a slight issue. You're probably going to run a few C higher on your graphics card than you would if it was horizontally mounted in this case, to give more room around it to breathe. But I would like to see that become an option, because the PCI riser card is in here, and if they cut that out, you know, they might bring the cost of the case down just a little bit, and then have that as an optional add-on. I mean, they could charge more for that because you're going to have a bracket at that point, but not everybody's going to want a vertical mount their graphics card. So I would just like to see that become an optional add-on instead of like a mandatory one. So let's finish taking a look at this. At the top of the case, you're going to see a recessed panel for radiator and fans. This does come out. There are 6 screws here, and we'll take those out and remove the panel. I like that they have made this removable, because it makes it a whole lot easier to mount your radiator and fans when you have a piece that's removable. So we're going to go ahead and pull this out. Last screw, and then it should just lift off, and it does. So that's a nice touch. I really like this. So if we flip this around to this side, we have our mounting hardware here. These are 2 hard drive trays, power supply tray. I think these are reversible, so you could top mount your power supply and bottom mount these if you wanted to, but I'm not 100% sure. So let's open these and take a look and see if this can be moved to the bottom. No, it does not allow you to move it to the bottom. That's kind of sad. I do wish they had made that so you could swap this around. It would just add a little something extra to it. Some people might like to have the power supply at the top, then on the bottom. Me personally, I like it on the bottom, but I could see the use for it at the top because the cables go downward and you have a little more extra room to store it than trying to move them up. But you know, it's to each his own. Instructions are in here, and we have all of our I/O hookups. I'm going to go ahead and loosen this, and we'll see what we got here as far as I/O hookups. We have USB-C type connection, USB 3.0. We have the HD audio header. Something that nobody's doing that I would really like to see them do is these breakout cables are all colored for the HD audio, the audio front panel. Just make them black. We're past the rainbow cute cables now, and I would just like to see them black. I think a few designers have done that, and I understand why they don't. And I know they're trying to separate, you know, what's what on the front, but at this point, you know, we've got black power supply cables, we've got black everything, so why can't we get these in black? And that's just a little side note. But one thing I do love that they're doing is the front panel connector is a single connector. The front panel has pretty much been standardized for years now, and I don't understand why nobody else is doing the front panel connector all in one. Rarely ever is it different between motherboards. I can understand if it's a server motherboard or something like that, but you know, this has been pretty much standardized for a long time at this point, and I'd really like to see more manufacturers do a single connector. So this case does come with 3 fans. There's 2 in the bottom. We're going to take a look at those in a second. You've got 1 in the back. The fans do feel like they're good quality fans. They don't feel like they cheaped out on the fans. They are made by Hyte. They have the Hyte H logo on them. They are not LED lit. There is no LED in this case. It's just the case. That's all you get. But it is very nicely designed. and the fans do seem like they're good quality if you want to use the fans that come in the case. I personally am not. I'm gonna add some LED fans to the case. So that is the back side. So let's go ahead and take our tools out here, what they include as far as screws and all that. Take a look before we flip it over and look at the bottom. Okay, so in our box we get, oh wow, they include an audio breakout cable. That's nice. That's a nice touch. I really like that. This is a breakout cable for a headphone and microphone. So if you have a headset and it has the mic and the headphones in one, and only have a single connector, the TRRS, I believe, you can use that breakout cable, and you can plug into this front panel connector right here. Plug this into the front panel connector and then use your split on your cable. But if you have a single connector, you just plug that in. So, and that does give me one option here. Give me a moment to talk about the front panel. You have your TRRS, you have your USB-C type connection, you have your two USB 3.0, I believe, and you have your power button. Power button's lit, of course. And let's get back to what they include in the box. So I got sidetracked with the cable. Like I said, that's a nice touch. You get zip ties. I'm not going to take the zip ties out of the bag. Everybody's seen zip ties, you know what they are. You actually get your screws labeled, which is another nice little touch. 22 screws for your motherboard and SSDs. You get the ones for your power supply, and you get your screws for hard drive mounting. And then you also get the little adapter to move around your standoffs in the motherboard. This is a very, very nice touch. A lot of manufacturers don't include this. They've really went above and beyond, including a lot of things that, you know, some people just won't have laying around, and I really, really like that. So let's flip this case over. Take a look at the bottom. I'm just going to shove these inside the case. Okay. So on the bottom of the case, we have a fan shroud, and this just clicks off. Has two little tabs on it. That is going to be a pain in the butt to remove and clean, because you're going to have to flip your case over to take that off. Maybe would have liked to seen a slide in out cover for the fans on the bottom, but you know, I'm just being nitpicky at this point. Two 120 millimeter fans in the bottom. You have a 120 millimeter fan in the back. I don't know if I said that earlier, but it does include three 120 millimeter fans. You do have the option of mounting two 140 millimeter fans in the bottom. The bracket in the bottom is not removable, just the fans. There's really no point in having a removable I can't talk today, bracket in the bottom. So that is what you get in the bottom. And then lastly, on the inside, you have your PCI riser bracket. I'm not going to take, I can take it off. We'll go ahead and remove that. I don't want to mess this up, so slides out. PCI expansion slot right here. This is your ribbon cable, so you can vertical mount your graphics card. You know, this removes so you can slide it into your motherboard. Slide in whichever slot, you know, your PCI Express slot is on your motherboard. The Hyte logos right here, of course you're not going to see that when your motherboard is in the case. It will cover that up. So yeah, that's the Hyte Y60. Let me know if you guys have used this case. Let me see some of your builds. You know, tell me what you like or don't like about this case. And maybe what you've noticed about thermals, having the graphics card mounted on its side. I'm going to do two builds in this case. One, I'm kind of doing an older build with some parts that I have laying around. The GTX 1070 graphics card, I got one of those laying around, so I'm going to stick it in the case, check the thermals on it and see what it's like. And then I'm also going to do a custom water loop in this case. That video is going to be coming up soon. And with the custom water loop, especially if you water cool your graphics card, The side panel is not really going to matter as much as far as choking off air to your graphics card, since you're going to have a water block on it. And then bringing up the air through the bottom and expelling it out the top will help keep your other components cool, especially since, you know, heat moves from, you know, lower to a higher location. So you're bringing cool air from the bottom and expelling hot air through the top. So I am going to be doing those upcoming, and be sure to look for that. And thanks for joining me in this video, and we'll see you in the next one. I finally got my Hyte. Let me start that again. I finally got my Hyte. That is really hard to say.